the realtor should be able to negotiate that into the contract. Now, like I say, this is the perfect time to buy a home. I believe right now you can negotiate on the seller paying. You can negotiate at any time of the year. But during the peak season, you probably want to just go for the max that they are asking for. So if you're really interested in that home to make your offer look really good, you probably don't want to ask for too much. But now, ask for everything, and because all they can do is say yes or no. Okay, but in the same thing, any time of the year, just ask for everything if that's what you want to do. Just remember, you might have some other offers right behind yours, and the seller might say, well, this other offer is more appealing because they're not asking for anything and they're giving us the maximum price. So, but now I think you have the option, you have an opportunity to kind of negotiate now and ask for them to pay for the appraisal fee. Ask for, now the survey is a possibility that you might not have to pay for the survey if it's a recent built home. A survey was just done, and that's one thing that will never change unless they came through and did construction and tore up some streets or something like that. The survey will always pretty well be the same, and you can use the survey that the previous owner had. And your realtor should know that, and the realtor should be asking for that survey if it's a possibility they can get it. That's going to save you some money right there. But the appraisal fee, you can ask the seller to pay for that appraisal fee. Now, the appraisal fees are running probably from $300 to $500, and then you have to have money for your inspection. Okay, so you have to make sure that you have money for the inspection. The inspection is run inspections of the home, and you always want to get an inspection of a home. Even a new property, you want to make sure you get that home inspected. The inspector is the one, is the experts on the interior of that home, inside the walls. Okay, the inside the walls and underneath the concrete and underneath the house. That's where the inspector come in and do their job. And you always want to get an inspection done on your home. I don't care what anybody say. Make sure you always get that inspection done. And he's going to go in there and check everything. I mean, everything. The plugs and the plumbing and the attic and the air conditioner and the heater and the stove and the hot water heater. He's going to check everything, things that you don't know about. That's what the inspector is. So that's worth your money. Always get an inspection done on your home. So remember, you have to do your home inspection. So that fee is included. And then when you first do the contract, you're going to have two fees that you're going to have to pay right then and there. And that's going to be the earnest money. Earnest money is just telling the seller that I am serious about buying your home. Here, I will give you some money, and you will get that money back at closing toward your closing costs. Okay, so it's just you just giving the seller the money to hold the house, to take the house off the market, and for your contract to complete and all of your lending paperwork to complete before you can go to closing. But that earnest money you'll see at closing will come back to you for your your closing fees. So you'll see that. Also, you have the option fee. Option fee is money that you might get back at closing and you might not. And usually it's a couple $100 just to tell the seller, hey, take this off the market for 10 days so I can get this appraisal done, so I can get this inspection done. And you can actually be there when they do the appraisal and be there when they do the inspection, so they can explain to you what they found when they did all of that. The purpose of the appraisals is to make sure that the house is worth what you are actually, the seller is actually asking for. So you don't want to buy a house if it's worth $150,000 and the seller has it listed at $185,000. You don't want to buy a house like that unless you come into the table with, what is that, $3,500, and you don't want that. You want to make sure that that house is worth what you're buying it for, and that's the purpose of the lender. And the lender is working for, the purpose of the appraisal, and the appraiser is working for the lender, because the lender has to secure that loan that he's giving you. They're giving you, so therefore they have to make sure that the product is worth what you're paying for it. So remember, you have to have an option fee and the earnest money right up front, just to let them know, hey, I'm serious. This is the house we want. So be prepared to do that. And then also, you remember what you're going to have that's pretty, a lot of people forget when they actually do a loan, is PMI. PMI is PMI, that's principal insurance that you have to pay on a FHA loan, okay? FHA loan has to have that PMI on there. So it's going to be a percentage that you got to pay every month. You're going to be paying principal, interest, and PMI. PMI is the insurance part of the loan, not your insurance on your house itself. You got to pay that too, because all of this is going into escrow. They take a little bit every month to pay those taxes at the end of the year. Yes, the end of the year you're going to have a tax bill. That's why you put money into escrow, so you won't have to come out of pocket all at once for this insurance and for these taxes for the property. They're going to be taking a little bit of your monthly mortgage to go into escrow to pay taxes and insurance. Okay, so that is the total that's all the information I wanted to give you on buying a home. But I want to get into the next part of the show, and it is church compliance. And I mentioned what church compliance is. Church compliance is actually assisting churches to build up their, I say, foundation. You have a lot of churches that's already formed, and they're working, they're performing, they're doing what they doing the community thing, they're ministering, they bringing people in, their membership is growing. But the question is the foundation correct? Is it built like it should be? I'm not talking about the building structure. I'm talking about the business part of the church. And I'm going to be talking about what all that involves. It talks about the church bookkeeping. How is the church bookkeeping? The church accounting, the finance. How is they taking up finance? Do you have a finance procedure that you follow each week when you take up finance? Payroll. Did you know all pastors should be on a W-2? I know you probably didn't know that, but yes, all pastors should be on a W-2, because an employee is a person that you tell them, in a sense, what time to be there, and you pay them a certain amount of money every week or every month, and you expect for that they just can't not be there. The pastor just cannot show up. So therefore, he's an employee of the church. So he should be on a W-2. Those love offerings that they often say is tax-free money. No, it's not tax-free money. And you need to know how to handle those love offerings. Even if you have people coming into your church, you want to make sure that they understand that, hey, the money that you receive from us, it is taxable. Therefore, I need you to fill out a W-9 before you even speak. So when they come in, and even if you invite them in to speak, when you send that invitation letter, you want to send that W-9 with them, with that invitation letter, so they'll have that filled out when they come in to speak on the night or day or whatever service they come in to participate in. It'll already be complete. Accepting credit cards. Now, I have a client that I went in and I did a one-on-one personal workshop with his church, and I mentioned a software for them to get. They since have gotten that software. He mentioned that, I spoke with him the other day when he came in my office. I said, well, how is that working for you? He said, oh my goodness. He was so elated. He was so excited. It actually raised his offerings up tremendously. People had started giving to his church that does not even go to his church, so it built up his offering. So if you're not taking credit cards, if you don't have a way for somebody to give you an offering electronically, you're probably missing a lot of contributions, a lot of offerings that could build up your offering that you can use for the ministry. So you might want to consider that. There is a lot of areas that we look at. What about the pastor's return? I know that's something personal for the pastor, but there's a certain way you can fill out your tax return, pastors. Now, this past year, the returns was done a certain way, and you was actually able to get do the unreimbursable employee expense because the pastors are on a W-2, and they have expenses that they actually accrue during the year that they was taken off as unreimbursable employee expense. Can't do that anymore. So therefore, we have to have a strategy on how you can actually bring down that tax liability. And the way that you're going to be able to do that is called accountable reimbursement plan. That is something we're going to dig in deep at the workshop. Once again, that workshop is going to be March the 30th at Grace Cathedral Church at 7615 South Polk in the Dallas area. And you can actually go on and start registering for that workshop. We have a fee for the pastors and one other key person, maybe the secretary or the financial person. We have one set fee for them, and then we have a individual fee. And we have workbooks that you're gonna have. This will be a working workshop. You're gonna leave there knowing a lot more than what you did when you came. And I'm the type of person that once I tell you something, I want to make sure I do a follow-up and see how's it going. Do you need me to come in and do a more one-on-one workshop? We can do that for you. I just don't want to leave you hanging. I don't want to be a person that does these workshops and you come and you listen and you just go back, get all excited once you there, and then when you leave, you be excited for a week or two, and you put it on the shelf and you never do it. Go back to it. I want to make sure that we can do a hand in hand and make sure that we can help you put everything in place that you need to be put in place, because the vision of the pastor is where you want to go. And in order to get to that vision, you're going to have that business part of the church set. If that pastor want to build a apartment complex for the senior citizens, you got to have the business part of the church in place. So we're going to be talking about all of that. We're going to talk about incorporating the church and why you need to have that church incorporated. I actually have someone reached out to me I actually spoke to them on last week. Actually, no, it was the first part of the week. And they were telling me that they have been a church formed, organized for over 45 years. And some of the stuff, bylaws and stuff like that, they did not have in place. Some legality issues came up, legal issues came up, and now they're in the courts, and they have to be in the courts because they don't have the bylaws, they don't have the articles of cooperation, they don't have any of that. If they have had that articles of cooperation, had their bylaws, the courts would have sent them back to, what did your bylaws say? They don't have that, so now they got to go according to the legal way that they do it in the courts without including any organization for it being a non-profit. Therefore, they're in the hands of just regular court. Just if you have a civil case or criminal case, they're in the hands of that court. But if you had your bylaws, you would have been able to establish if a conflict was to arise. All of that information is in your bylaws. You would have just referred back to the bylaws and say, okay, this is what we agreed to do if this was to arise. You would have had the instruction 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, and you would have followed it right on through according to what was spoken and what was written and what was agreed upon 45 years ago, or whenever it was that they renewed them. So if they had had them 45 years ago, hopefully they renewed them before, more than just once in doing that 45 years. But you want to make sure that you have all of this stuff in place. This is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about accountable plan. We're going to talk about incorporation. And why do you have to be incorporated? And the reason, a good example is this situation that somebody reached out to me the other day about. They're not incorporated. Okay, so therefore they're in court. Something has came up and issues have aroused, came up and arise. Therefore, if a lawsuit come and somebody decide that they don't want to go through the process that they're doing now, and somebody else decide, hey, we just gonna sue. If they decide to sue, they can sue everybody, every member in that church will be part of that lawsuit, will be named in that lawsuit. But if they were a corporation, they will be a business. That church will be under a business entity, which would be a C Corp. When you are a nonprofit with your Secretary of State, you're considered to be a C Corp. If you're sued, they will sue just the corporation, not the individuals that's part of that organization. So I kind of encouraged them and told them that, hey, y'all have to have a mediator to make sure that everybody stay calm and resolve the issue. And he told me that's what the judge is doing. The judge is actually the mediator of the situation. And she told them, you can't have a forensic audit done on these books. I need you to go back and get yourself in compliance first. So the judge is acting at the mediator, and that's a blessing right there for the judge to take time to act as the mediator instead of going straight to a forensic audit. Because if you have issues in your church and you do a forensic audit and something come up, the IRS will be on you like white on rice. They will come for you because you are considered a nonprofit. Even though you might not have a 501c3 application completed, you don't have your determination letter, you're still considered as nonprofit. You still have to abide by the nonprofit rules under the 501c3, whether you have that determination letter or not, whether you filled out the 1023 or not. You're still supposed to abide by those rules as being exempt, okay? So if you was to go in court, they do a forensic audit, they find out somebody has been in the pot, not doing what they supposed to do. Therefore, once they do that, and they accept that in the courts, therefore the IRS is going to be right there when they find out something is going on that's not supposed to be going on. When it comes to those books, they're going to come in and say, okay, they want to see the books. It's a nonprofit, so they can go in and look at your books. All right, they decide to pull your exemption, the exemption that you never filled out the 1023 for, the automatic exemption because you're a church. That's what they're pulling. When they pull that, therefore, every dime that came across that table, depending on how long they want to go back, will become taxable. So you don't want all of that money from your nonprofit to become taxable, because who's going to pay that tax bill? If you're not incorporated, who's liable for the bill? The members are. So we're going to be talking about all of that stuff. I know it can get pretty in depth, but I am just here to help and assist and inform and educate you, because I don't know everything. The IRS book is thousands and thousands of pages, so I don't know everything, but what I do know, I will be giving it to you. I will be helping you so you will know, okay? So we want to make sure that you're informed. The other things that we're going to be, different policies. Did you know you should have a benevolence policy? Okay. There is a certain situation that people that you help within the church, mainly, it's a different process when it comes to helping the people that's already members of the church, okay, when it comes to benevolence. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about, like I said, accountable plan. Exemptions. We're going to be talking about some exemptions for as your local exemptions, your state exemption, and 501c3 is your federal exemptions. You should be exempt at each one of these levels, and we're going to be telling you how to become exempt so that you won't be paying any property tax. You should not be paying any property tax on a church. If it's a church, you should not be paying any personal property tax, and you should not be paying any regular real estate tax. You should not be paying that either because it's a nonprofit. You should be exempt from that. But if you don't know how to do that, we're going to be talking about how to do that. So make sure that you reach out to us if you want to be part of this workshop. This is the workshop that we're having in the Dallas area, but we'll be traveling in different areas to actually do this workshop in the future. But right now it will be in the Dallas area on March the 30th from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at Grace Cathedral at Grace Cathedral Church at 7615 South Polk. And if you want to register for this workshop, you can go to my website. It is www.churchcomplianceinfo.com, and there is a tab where you can actually register at that location. If you want to reach out to me and you have questions, you can reach me at 1-833-626-6785. And once again, that telephone number is 1-833-626-6785. And you can reach out to me. And once again, that website, if you're interested in coming to the workshop, or if you're interested in sending someone, you can go to churchcomplianceinfo.com, and you can do that at that location. And also you can check me out and see who I am and kind of see what services we offer on that website. And then I also have a tax office website. It is Jackson and U, the letter U, tax.com. If you want to check me out over there, you can do that also. And once you come to this workshop, it's not going to be something that's over your head. Don't think that it's too in-depth for you, because I take the churches from step 1, A, B, C. I take the churches from, do you have a landline in your church? Do you have a computer in your church? We start at that one. That's where we start. We start right where you're at. A lot of people are at that point, and they have just started the church, and they've been in church for a while. The church has been formed for a while, but they just haven't took time to do this part of the church, which is the business part of the church. So we're going to start. We're going to hold your hand. We're going to tell you, okay, this is what you need to do. And then once we get to do the basic part, it's just going to help. It's free advertising, so much free advertising out there that you can do once you get these basic things that you can be advertising your church, because somebody might come to town and they might say, they might be at a hotel or something down the street from you. But when they go on their phone, you know, this is the electronic days, mobile phone. If they go on their phone and say, church is near me, your church might pop up. You never know who's coming to visit your church. But you can be found just by doing free advertising. And we're going to tell you about that. We're going to show you how to actually get your address and your church information out there on all of these. Not all of them. I might not know all of them. But on quite a few of those free websites that's offering those free advertising. We're going to be talking about that. So, and like I said, it's not going to be something that you can't do, because we're going to start from the elementary part. We're going to say, hey, do you have a landline? Do you have a computer? Do you have a location that your secretary can actually sit? And if you don't have a secretary, and whether you're doing the secretary work from home or whatever, it needs to be done from the church, okay? You need to get some organization. Do the things decent in order. This is God's house. So you want, and he is one of the ones that we serve, and we want to do things with excellence. Okay? So you want to take some time and put some things in place that's not in place. If you don't have a location for that secretary, make her a spot. Okay? Get you a computer. You can buy computers all day long at pretty inexpensive now. Invest in the church, okay? Get your office set up. You need a landline, okay? You need a fax line. I know fax is not in, but a lot of people are still using fax. If you can have a fax, if you're going to have a landline, it's easy enough to do the landline and the fax line at the same time. Voicemail. Oh my goodness. A lot of people might even have a telephone at the church, but they don't have a voicemail. What if somebody's calling trying to get directions to the church? You got to have a voicemail. So make sure that you take some time. Once you get the landline, set up the voicemail, okay? Even if you have somebody to forward that phone to their cell phone, the secretary, not just anybody, but somebody professional that can answer that phone, you want to do that. But you want to make sure you have a voicemail, so when someone reach out to you, they are able to leave a voicemail for you and call you and make some type of contact. And like I say, if you do the free advertising, you'll have your address out there, you have your phone number out there, and if you have a website, you might want to consider doing a website for the church, okay? And you can do Facebook, do a business page on Facebook for free. As long as your information is all out there, you can do that. Okay, so there's another directory. You have so many directories that you can put in play with your church that you can use. Board meetings. Are you having board meetings? It is so important for you to have a board meeting, because that is a area of the church that a lot of the information comes when it comes to making rules and regulations, making changes, stuff like that. It needs to go through the board or the trustee board or the deacon board, whoever's that's handling the major part of the finance, making the major decisions for the church. I'll say it like that. The group of people that's making that major decision for the churches, that's who wants to make sure that you're having this board meeting, okay? Make sure you're taking a minutes, okay? There is a certain way that you should take a minutes. You don't want to put too much information in the minutes, and you don't want to put too less of information in the minutes, because the minutes is a legal document. If something was to arise, if you have a disgruntled member, something was to come up, and it had to do with something that was voted in, this is where it should have been voted in, and it should have been recorded that it was voted in. That's where they're going to pull the documents. They say, okay, well, where's the minutes? When they pull the minutes, they're going to say, okay, yes, it was voted on. No, it was not voted on. And then they're going to go from there. The minutes is a legal document, so you want to make sure that you're taking the minutes and you're taking it correctly. And the official way to vote, you want to make sure that you know that. If you did not know the official legal way to vote, you can look it up. Google it. Go on the internet, look it up. It's Robert Rules of Order, okay? There is a little cheat sheet. Actually, I'm going to put this on my website. I'm going to put this on the website. If you go to my website, I'll have it where you can download it. It's like a cheat sheet. That is a quick reference to Robert Rules of Order, how you're supposed to follow the voting procedure. The Parliament voting procedure in voting in a legal manner when you're in your board meeting. So you want to make sure that you're doing that, because, like I say, it's a legal document. And then when you take up your finance, do you have a cash sheet? Hey, cash sheet. A lot of people do. A lot of people doing it on the computer, but I'm going basic. Like I say, I'm able to teach and work with small churches that never have a full process. Okay, that's what I'm going to be doing the workshop. I'm reaching out to those churches that does not have any process at all, or have a process and would like to add to it. Okay, so do you have a cash sheet? I have a cash sheet that I can put out on my website that you can actually start using now. You don't have to wait till you come to the workshop. You can reach out to my website and I'll have it where you can download it. So that's one of the things that you can download. You can load the Robert Rules of Order, the cash sheet, and then let's see what else can I put out there for you to kind of help you out in the meantime before we even get to the workshop. What about a minutes? What about a sample of a minutes? I have that. I'll put that out on the website for you too. So when you come, if you have questions about these things, you can actually ask me while we're at the workshop. And I'm going to be giving this out at the workshop also. But if you need it before then, you can go to my website, churchcomplianceinfo.com. And we are on Facebook Live, so if you want to share this with somebody that you know that's probably going to be needing this workshop to come and be with us, you can actually share it with them. And like I say, they can reach out to me at churchcomplianceinfo.com. That's my website. They can register for the workshop that's going to be March the 30th. At Grace Cathedral Church from 11 to 3 o'clock p.m. And then also something else I mentioned earlier about what you need when you have guest speakers. Do you know when you have a guest speaker, they should be filling out a W-9, okay? I'm going to put the most up-to-date website for the up-to-date, not website, I'm sorry, the up-to-date